Afternoon, Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. Wanted to give you guys a couple of quick updates. Update on the school, and then an update on a couple of the horses. I know some of you followed. I did a video a while back on old Tank, and I want to update you on him and a couple things here. Today, Reba coming over to say hi. Today is March 26th, Sunday. So we're going to be pulling out of here in 3 days on Wednesday, the 29th, heading to Wyoming. We're going to be caravanning. There's going to be 6 or 7 vehicles, and it's going to be quite the program. We're going to take at least 4 days, probably 5 days, but we're going to be going slow and easy. The guy that's there in Sheridan, they're expecting a huge snowstorm this week. So we're going to be heading that direction, but monitoring things, and we may have to stop partway there. We've got bookings already at some horse motels in Arkansas and in Oklahoma and Nebraska, and so that's the trip that we're taking, and so we're getting ready. We're booking up pretty good. You can get on the website at www.drycreekwranglers. The schedule is on there. Momma's keeping that up. We're almost fully booked through July, which is good. We got a few bookings scattered the rest of the way through August and September. And so if you're seriously thinking about joining the school this year, you might want to start getting on it. The first half is already mostly pretty well booked up. Okay. Let's talk about Tank. So I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I sold Tank, and I also sold SweetJane. Now it's a good thing for them and for us, and I want to kind of take a minute and talk about it. I'll put the link in the description of this video of the video I did on Tank. For those who aren't familiar, Tank was a stocky quarter horse, bay quarter horse gelding we had that just went sour on us. I mean, he just I won't go back into details about it. That video will cover it again. But he had got to the point he didn't want to work anymore. And when you tried to do a simple just discipline and push him into it, he fought harder. So I told you guys in that video, it was a mental thing. It wasn't a physical thing. He had been soured by a lot of things. So we let him off for several weeks, and then we started riding again just a little bit. I put Connor on him, and so we went out the first time and just on trails, and he went and he stopped, and so we just kind of let him. I went back and got a lead rope and just kind of let him just to encourage him, and then he came along, and he just kept getting better. And then the last 2 or 3 times we rode him, we just saddled him up, head off down the trail. Man, he was just feeling good, wanting to go. We didn't have any trouble with him. But I knew that for the school, he just did not have the heart and the mentality that he was going to be happy doing that. I did a video, I don't remember which one, just a little while back, talking about people following their heart. And I talked about a lot of times what people call following their heart is just their emotions. But there is a thing where you are uniquely created and designed to fit into a notch in life. If you're an artistic type person, you're not likely to be as happy as an attorney or as an engineer or a certified public accountant. But if you're a very numbers oriented, if you're very detail oriented, if you're just that type of personality and that's how your brain works, then that's where you're going to be the most successful, most likely, and the happiest and fit in the most. Some people are just naturally born mechanically inclined. They're these little kids that they take everything apart and try to figure out how it works inside. And so they're happiest and most successful often when they go into some sort of field like that. Horses are no different, okay? We, especially people who don't have a lot of experience, we tend to not give enough credence to the horse as an individual. Their personality. They are a personality. And we owe it. We owe it to the horse. The success of their life depends on us. Okay, and so we owe it to the horse to not try to shoehorn them into some place that they're unhappy. They're not physically or mentally equipped, designed, set up for to do. All right, and so we had a lot of thinking to do about this coming year and the horse situation, and I decided that 2 of the horses were not individually designed for this type of work. I could make them do it. I could get them through it, but it wasn't where they would excel. It wasn't them. One was SweetJane, the little Palomino. We got a video or 2 about her, and the other one was Tank. Now, SweetJane, I sold a friend of mine. Really wanted her. Well, his wife really wanted her, and his wife has experience and background, and she's a real sweet, quiet person, and she really wanted SweetJane for herself. Now, SweetJane, the no buck, all right, none of that stuff, nothing like that in SweetJane. I did not sell her because I couldn't get her to do what I wanted. All right, this is an important piece here, and I want to take a moment and get you to understand. I sold her because it wasn't what was best for her. Because she is one of those, and I talked about it in the video with her, she is one of those very sensitive horses. She's a very sensitive little mare. She's one of those horses that you can't just put a cowboy on and, you know, some young kid. She didn't have a lot of trust. And now you saw on the video when I was riding her, she was extremely quiet, very calm. She about went to sleep on the video, but that's because I have very quiet hands and a very quiet seat. And she learned that she could trust me. She learned that I was not going to be popping and jerking and bumping and spurring and yelling and swinging around and carrying on. So she's like, I can relax with this guy. But when someone new came along, she was always nervous, and she was always really sensitive. And so as a school, that's just not a comfortable environment for a horse like that. And so when they showed interest in her, I said, you know what, that's a really good fit. It's him and her, and they've got 2 small children, and they live way out on a farm. They have a lot of acreage, and they just trail ride, and I said, this is a perfect fit. She will be much happier there, and it will fit her much better. Tank that's a cool story. Someone called me about a horse. They were looking for a horse, and I said, I have this gelding I want to sell, but now I need to tell you about this gelding. And I told them Tank's situation and his story. Well, they came up, and it turns out that it was the man who wanted the horse, and he brought his niece with him, and she's a young lady, a teenager who has quite a bit more experience than he does. And so I told them about Tank, and so she saddled Tank and came out here in the yard. Now, she knew what she was doing, and so she got him a bit gathered up, and so she started doing circles, and she asked him to come up into a trot to circle. Well, he kicked out after a minute. He was going around, but he's like, I don't know, and she didn't catch it. And before I could say anything, she tried to squeeze him again, and he kind of humped. And she was riding a big old saddle. I think it's her daddy's saddle. It's 3 times too big, and a slick saddle. And she came off. She came off the horse, and I thought, well, that's it. And so she was fine. She wasn't hurt or anything. And I said, I don't want to sell you a horse that is not going to work for you. I said, but what happened was we're out here where we did a lot of the school this year. And when you started him in the circles and you started to squeeze him up into a trot in the circles, he's like, oh yeah, schooling. I don't want to do that. And he kicked the one time and said, I don't want to do that. And when you kicked him up, squeezed him again, he's like, I'm not doing that. I said, so that's him. All right, so you need to know up front. And I'm glad it happened. I'm glad she didn't get hurt. She wasn't even the least bit. But I'm glad that they knew honestly up front what his issue was. And we talked about it. And so they were actually buying him for her uncle. And he said, all I want is just a horse that I can trail ride with friends with the other horses. We just want to go out on the trail. And I said, he loves that. He'll be great with that. I said, but if you try to school him, if you try to lunge him, because of his history, he equates that. He equates that with certain things. He's not going to do it, and you're going to have trouble. But if you just take him and become his buddy and just trail ride with him, that's what he needs. And he said, well, that's all I want. I said, okay, this is a good fit. I feel good about this. It's not wrong, and I talked about this in one of the first videos I ever did when talking about selling a horse. It's not wrong to sell a horse if a horse doesn't fit. It's not wrong for you, and it's not wrong for the horse. It is, however, wrong because you buy a horse and you develop an emotional attachment to that horse, and you like the horse's color, you like the horse's size, and so you decide, here's where we get arrogant and we get in trouble. We decide what that horse is going to be and what that horse is going to do. Sometimes you get lucky and it works and you two are on the same page. Sometimes you don't and it don't. All right? You are to decide what you want to do with a horse. And then you find a horse that's on the same page that you are. Okay? So I really appreciate all the folks that expressed concern about Tank and his future. And so I want to let you know that we found the future for Tank. Waylon found him a carpenter bee in the grass and he's going after it. So I want to give you an update on that. And I want to do one more thing before I go that I never do. Okay, I never do this. There's another horse guy on YouTube, and he is the only horse guy on YouTube that I myself subscribe to. Now, I've watched a bunch of them. I've watched all of them, okay? But, you know, I watch and I move on. But this guy, he don't know me, don't know who I am. It's not a collaboration or anything. It's just, this is a guy that I watch, and he thinks different when it comes to horses. He thinks in a very practical way, and he explains things in a very practical way that most horse people on the internet don't do. Now his discipline, his style, he's in Arizona, I think. It might be Nevada, but his style is more old school vaquero, kind of along the lines, if you know who Pat Puckett is, but he's totally different from Pat. His name is A. Davis. That's his YouTube, A, and then Davis. I think if you're on the horse side of things and you want to start digging a little deeper, he doesn't do so much, okay, if you do your leg this way and do your hand this way and do this is what happens. He sits there and talks to you about how the horse thinks and how this works and what this does. And every time I watch the guy, I get something. And he's the only one on there I can say that about. So I recommend, if you're looking to expand your horsemanship and you want, I think you ought to go over and check him out. So I just wanted to share that with you. I think that's about it. The cigar is it's a Rocky Patel, The Edge. Shane Werda over at cigarplace.biz, he sent me a pack of 5 of these, and they're just a good, for me, they're a good middle of the road cigar. They're a very simple cigar. There's nothing there that's going to be overly complex, at least not to me. It's not overly strong. It's not overly weak. It's just a good middle of the road cigar. They're very simple. In fact, there's no band on this one because the only band they have is just a little one right around the foot. You got to take that off to light it. Want to thank Shane for sending this over, and that is the place that I recommend if you order your cigars online, cigarplace.biz, and they ship them out. They've taken really good care of me. A lot of fellas have got on here and said that they've gone and checked them out, and so I want to, there'll be a link in the description, and so I just want to give them a shout out. And so I guess that's about it. I don't know how many videos or how it's going to work us doing this on the road, but we'll try to keep you guys caught up. And if we get busy and things get rough on the road and we don't make a video, just hang on, we'll be back. And so the next video, it might be in Sheridan, Wyoming. Standing out there shivering hip deep in snow. There's no telling. But Mama said, because it's 70, almost 79 here today, and Mama said, I'm ready to leave. I can't face another summer like this last one we did here in Tennessee. And so we're excited about it. Really want to thank you guys for all of your support, all right, for all of your encouragement, and for sticking with us. And so we just wish you all the best, and just be logical, be reasonable, be safe, and have fun. And never forget, it's about the horse. All right, we'll catch you guys next time.